Welcome to the Prepared and More YouTube channel today. Today we're going to be talking about medical supplies. You know, there's a lot of different things you can learn out there for medical training and different things, and we certainly encourage that, and we'll talk a little bit about it here later on. But today's video, we're going to focus on what are the supplies or physical things you need to purchase to have the medical equipment you need when it all hits the fan. So let's begin. I want to first go back to that point about training, indicating that anything when we're talking about prepping, training is really important. It's important that you know how to start a fire or make a shelter or store food. Training on those type of things is important, but it is especially important when it comes to medical things. So we first of all encourage everybody to get training, whether it be first aid and CPR, whether it be you can get AED training, you can be trained as an EMT or a paramedic, any type of a nurse or a physician or dental, anything that gives you medical training is highly recommended. We certainly encourage that. For me, I'm a volunteer firefighter, so part of that training, I am trained to be an EMT, and so that gives me some medical training. We have others in our family who are nurses, and so those are great skills to have. And so many of the things that we're going to talk about today, particular items and that type of thing, may require certain skills. And so please don't use these things unless you have the proper skills to use them. But we encourage you to get those skills. So training is important. The next thing, let's talk about some books. And I've laid out here on my table just a small part of the medical library that I keep. But I'm going to recommend some of these books to you specifically, and then I'm going to just give you some more generic instructions. So one of the books that I recommend highly, and again there will be a link to this in the description, but Where There Is No Doctor. And again, this is a book for like village medicine, for missionaries and those types of things, medical missions. But this has a lot of great information that would be practical in a preparedness type scenario, where you have no doctor, you have no hospital, you have no pharmacy, have no drugstore available. This is a great book to do. Probably two of the best books that we'll know about, and you'll know about them, are these two by Dr. Joseph Alton and his wife, Nurse Amy Alton, physician and nurse, husband and wife, and The Ultimate Survival Medicine Guide and Alton's Antibiotics and Infectious Disease. Two absolutely fabulous books written by preppers for preppers. And so these are two great books that we'll link to and recommend you get. Also the book by Doyle, Where There Is No Doctor. There's also another book called Where There Is No Dentist. Look those up. We'll have links for them. Herbal medicine, medicinal plants and herbs. And this is Peterson's guide, kind of the definitive guide to finding books out there, or plants out there. It's got color pictures and lots of descriptions, and finding plants that have medicinal use. And again, this one's, I live in the central U.S., so this is the eastern central U.S. version. There's also one available for the western side of the U.S. In addition to that, we have other books here that I've picked up at various thrift stores and different things, but things like alternative medicine books. This is the Medical Advisor, Alternative and Conventional Treatments. I have another book here about food remedies. Foods are really important in remedying things and also preventing things with our diet. Nature's Medicine, again, talking about plants. Also, different books you may want to pick up about alternative treatments for different diseases. This one's alternative treatments for cancer. This one's living a healthy lifestyle with chronic conditions. So pick up some books that are specific to conditions that you can find, particularly if you have that condition. If you're living with a chronic illness or disease, those types of things, if you have diabetes, if you have other conditions that you may need assistance with, pick up some books about alternative treatments for those particular things. Those are really important. Also keep in mind all the different people that you're prepping for. Who's going to show up at your place, invited, when it all hits the fan? What are some things you may need for them? Another book I recommend, the American Medical Association's Family Guide to Your Family's Symptoms. A great step-by-step book, uses flow charts to help diagnose typical family ailments. The last book we'll mention here on the table, again, I've got lots of books, but these are the most important one, is pick up some type of what's commonly called a PDR, a physician's desk reference, or a book, a drug handbook. Basically a book that talks about, preferably has pictures, this one has pictures in the middle, of all the different medications on the market. Now this one's as of 2015, so it's a little outdated, but I pick up my books used, and so this was the most recent used one I could find. But look up these medications if you have medications that you take or that other family members take, as well as in a after it all hits the fan scenario, if you find medication and you need to know what it's for and how it can be used, the pictures help you identify it, as well as the description of what it is and how it can be used. So always recommend a drug handbook. So these are just a sampling of some of the books I recommend. Most of them are reference books that you would just keep on hand to be used after it all hits the fan, but some of them could be used nowadays even before it all hits the fan. So pick you up some good books. There's links down in the description. That's an important part of medical prepping. The next thing we want to talk about, again, as far as medical prepping, is patient information. And it is vitally important that you know who is going to be bugging out or going to be with you when it all hits the fan. Maybe you've got a family of 4, a family of 5, or maybe you've got 10 like I'm preparing for. And having some basic health information on all those people is really important. Things like you would normally fill out when you went to the doctor's office and you were doing the initial patient information, and have that type of information written and available for all your family members. Things such as really easy things: height, weight, hair color, eye color, and a photo of them. That's really important. We talk about knowing their blood type, having a medical history. So what are their known health issues? What type of medications are they on? What type of surgeries have they had? All that type of information written down. Their allergies and the type of reactions they have. Some people are allergic to something and they have a very mild reaction. Some people are allergic to that same thing and have a very severe anaphylactic type reaction to it. And so knowing what the allergy is and what type of reaction they have to that is really important. Previous surgeries, as I mentioned, your medications and their dosages, that's really important. And any other family health history. So that would be a history of your biological family. So parents, siblings, and those types of things. Those are going to indicate what you too might be prone to get. So have that written health history compiled for each person that you're going to be bugging out with, and keep copies available. It's important maybe to keep them in your get-home bag or your bug-out bag, as well as at your bug-out location and at your current home. All those different places you can keep copies of this medical information so it's available. As an EMT and firefighter, when I respond to people's homes, I'm commonly asking this medical history information. What is their medical history? What medications they're on? What allergies they have? And if the home owner that we were going to with this patient just had that already printed out and can hand it to me, that would be fabulous. So using it now, as well as having that information available when it all hits the fan, is good. So that's a step you can do. It doesn't really cost any money, just some time to sit and compile that health history on each person. So we've talked about training, we've talked about some books, we've talked about health information to gather. Next, we want to move into what really this class is about, and that is a listing of the different medical supplies that you need to have on hand. And actually in this video, we're not going to give you that list. There's a link down below because the list is actually 5 pages long. Here's the basic list that I have as I've printed it out. As you can see, there are literally hundreds of different items that we recommend you have on hand. And so instead of me listing them all in this short video, we're actually just provided you a free link in the description there where you can download this list. This list not only lists the items that you need, it talks about these books, it talks about training, it talks about the health history, all the stuff I've already talked about in this video, it lists here, and then it lists all those items, and it includes links where you can purchase these items. So some of these items you can get them at your local Walmart or your pharmacy, those types of things, a local store, a grocery store. But I encourage you to check out places like Dollar Tree, has a lot of items for very inexpensive. Thrift stores, I buy things like this leg brace, air cast type of thing. Pick it up for just, well, there it is, $7.99, something that probably originally cost $100 for the patient. Pick it up for $7.99 at a thrift store. So check for things like this, other durable medical equipment at your thrift stores. Some of the things you can pick up, and again, we'll talk about this on the list when you download the list, but you can receive it at pet supply stores or farm and ranch type supply stores. There are veterinarian supplies that can be used by humans also. We'll talk about that in that list. Amazon is a great place. A lot of our links that you'll see on our list go to Amazon because they have a great price and a great selection, so you can click there and buy some of that stuff. And then some of this stuff will have to be bought at specialty stores. Some of it's considered medical, and not everybody can get to it, but we've provided you links at some specialty places where you can get some of the less common items on there. So I encourage you to look down below, look at the description. There's a few links in the description, but the main thing you want from that description is this list of items that you can pick up. Print that list, use that list, the links in it, and you can accumulate all the stuff that you're going to need for medical supplies after it all hits the fan. And by the way, one additional thing you're going to need some storage space. So make sure you're storing this stuff properly. The list is quite extensive. It does cover a lot of the things that you're going to need, and so you're going to need some storage space for it. So by the way, if you think of something you think should be on the list that isn't, feel free to note that down in the comments. Let other people know what can be added to that list. But I think you'll find that the list is fairly comprehensive, and now you just need to go out and get that stuff and get the training to use it. So thanks again for joining us today on the Prepared and More YouTube channel. If you like the content we have here, like this video and subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for being here at Prepared and More.